Well, dude, thank you so much for coming and talking to me, man. I know a lot of people, they get in a defensive encounter and they're like, fam, I'm not talking about that no more. But I really appreciate you, man. And sending me the video was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you looking over it. I'm always interested in like watching your videos and your breakdowns of things and stuff like that. And I was like, I wonder what he would have to say about this video, you know?
Today's video is brought to you by the generosity of Newbold targets. Newbold targets are self-sealing reactive polymer targets that act like steel targets for training and practice, but are safer than steel. They allow bullets to pass completely through the target without ricochet or lead splatter. Check out their links in the description and thank them for bringing us today's video.
There's a lot. I feel like after watching it a few times, I'm like, there's a lot of lessons to be learned here, whether it's like, you know, an ego battle or like what to do, you know, and just like, you know, regardless of so many different aspects of it. But yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, John Rambo himself gets in a defensive encounter, and there's going to be lessons to learn. Nobody's going to be perfect all the time, right? So, I mean, some people ask me all the time, they're like, you know, well, you know, we're going to get on one day and you're going to do the wrong things and we're going to laugh at you. And I was like, well, I'll probably do wrong things. My goal is to do as few as I can, but I'm not saying I'm perfect, you know, obviously. So, bro, I want to hear, so in your email to me, you said you have a long history of martial arts and self-defense and those things. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm 35 years old. And I started, you know, martial arts when I was 6 years old, and for 29 years I've been training in martial arts. I started out in karate, kind of got tired of that, moved on to taekwondo, and I'm the third degree brown belt in taekwondo. But I kind of got tired of just all kicks and stuff like that, so I sort of moved on. I've got some jiu-jitsu under my belt, mostly no-gi. I've got Muay Thai. I do a lot of Muay Thai training. A lot of boxing, some wrestling, MMA. So about 7 different forms of martial arts that I've got under my belt for 29 years. And, you know, it's great to know.
And as a general rule, are you a concealed carrier or are guns not your thing?
My wife is a concealed carrier. I'm perfectly fine walking wherever. I feel safe, comfortable. I guess I've got a confidence in myself that, you know, maybe is just loaded, who knows, but I feel pretty confident wherever I go.
You know, sometimes when you have a high level of empty-handed skills, you go, you know, I'm 90% of the problems I'm good with. When I'm traveling overseas, I'm like, you know, I can't carry a gun when I'm in Thailand or when I'm in, you know, Mexico or those things. And I'm like, whatever, you know, I'll still be all right.
So, it's kind of crazy actually here in, I'm sorry, here in Kentucky, they actually took away the concealed carry permit. Now you can just carry concealed with no permit, which is kind of nuts. But I mean, what's the difference between having it out of your shirt and under your shirt? I mean, you're going to do it.
Nothing. I mean, we have that in Arizona and it works great. You know what I mean? It's not really a big deal, especially because, I mean, the permit is so easy to get. It's like, why even bother? You know, it's not really a big deal. So, okay. So tell me about that night. So you guys were out and came home late.
Yeah. So my wife, I just went to go pick up my wife from work. She got off work, and she still works in the restaurant industry, but she's still currently in school as well. But she went to go pick her up. We had some dinner, a quick bite at a bar, and we came home. And we saw a truck parked in front of our exit gate just as we were, you know, entering the house. And I guess my wife, she decided that it was safe to say, like, hey, you know, you're going to get towed if you park there. And it just spiraled from there. So it was immediately a cussing out storm from the other parties. There was a guy sitting in his truck and his girlfriend outside the window, like outside the driver's side. And I guess they were arguing amongst themselves already.
And what time of night is this again?
This was at about 1:30ish in the morning. We were. She works pretty late in the restaurant industry on the weekends. But she only works 3 days a week, so you know when she's there, she gets out pretty late. Anyway, you know, it turned out. I mean, they cussed us out up and down the street, pretty much. Everything that you could think of, they said to us. At which point I was like, you know what, I'm not taking this. And I walked down there and said, hey, move your truck. You know, I walked down my steps and walked up and approached, and you know, I said, hey, move your truck. Pretty much that was my intent to pretty much just say, get out of here. You know, you don't need to cut this out. We're just trying to help you out.
And they're parked right, like in front of your driveway?
Yeah, we have an exit gate on our apartment complex because we only live in Louisville for her school. And when she's done, we're going to move. But so they're parked right in front of the exit gate. Nobody will be able to leave if they park there. And people do it all the time. It's really annoying because when you got to leave, you can't, you know. So, you know, she was letting them know, and I walked down there and say, hey, move your truck, or we're going to call the tow truck, you know. And as I approached, I noticed that he had hopped out of the driver's seat and gotten to the rear, the cab, the crew cab of the truck, and jumped back out pretty quickly. And at first all I a jacket. He had like a jacket or a hoodie or something that he was holding. And as I got up closer, you know, pretty much saying my piece, out comes this gun, which is a submachine gun, which I, at the time, which is another good lesson that I was thinking, you know, but at the time thought it was a BB gun. It was an Alpine Edition Chris Vector, 9mm.
A Chris Vector is an interesting gun. You don't see those out in the wild all that much.
Yeah, no, they're pretty. I mean, they're expensive first off, and you don't really see too many people toting them around. So, you know, and especially in Alpine all white, you know, immediately I was like, you know, I said to him, hey man, like get that BB gun out of my face or you're gonna regret it. And it's kind of my go-to is when I say you're gonna regret it. I mean, I kind of mean business. And the response was, that's not a BB gun, it's a Chris Vector. And I sort of just took my eyes off of his face and glanced down and immediately recognized that that is exactly what it was, and started sort of weighing my options at that point. At that point, I sort of had like a few things floating through my head where I was like, walk away, get shot in the back, hit this guy in the face, I have to knock him out, take control of the firearm if he gets close enough, what do I do? And it got to the point where he had it, you know, he wasn't quite pointing it at me, so I didn't really address the situation, but I was very, very aware of the firearm. And at one point in the video I sent you, you'll see where he sort of pushes his girlfriend aside and steps in right up on me and raises it up to my chest. And I immediately, I was like, this is my opportunity. Either I'm going to take it or I'm going to get shot. And I just grabbed it with both hands and twisted the muzzle away, you know, towards his truck. So it wasn't pointing at anybody. Nobody's going to get shot. You know, there were witnesses across the street, you know, two people, one person walking his dog, a girl with a backpack. My wife was over to the right. His girlfriend was there. Their dog was in the truck. I mean, it was a scene at 1 a.m, you know.
Jeez.
So immediately I attempt to take it, but he had a pretty strong grip on it. I mean, and it just wound up that I was completely shocked that his girlfriend had decided to jump in and grab onto it too, where I was not expecting that at all. You know, I knew she had a mouth on her because she was definitely the one, you know, using all the foul language. But it turned out that she jumped in on it too. So here I was wrestling with two people over this firearm that I was like, nobody's gonna get shot with this if I can help it. And then all of a sudden a cane corso jumps out of their truck, and I'm like, shoot, now I'm gonna get bit by this big dog. So it was kind of a wild scenario. But I wound up utilizing a sort of a takedown by hooking a heel behind their legs and using my weight to pull down. It wasn't probably the best because I wound up on bottom. There's probably a few other things I could have done. But when you're wrestling with two people over a gun, you know, you kind of just take it to the ground. That's where I felt the most comfortable. Jiu-jitsu is, I mean, I know you're a practitioner of jiu-jitsu as well. So,
you know, bottom position ain't ideal, but sometimes you got to sacrifice and start on the bottom position. It's okay.
And if you know what you're doing grappling, you can take the top position. It's no problem, or at least, you know, something. But yeah, once I took it down, it was still my main priority was to keep control of that firearm, because you know, if you address other things, well, that firearm, then you're at risk again. So while I was holding it, I actually wound up getting hit I think 9 times in the
Yeah, he
process.
definitely rose up and popped you a few, man.
Yeah, he did. I think it was about 9 times. But every time I was getting hit, without the boxing and the Muay Thai, I'm like, can I take another hit? Can I take another hit? Do I have to address this? Can I take another hit? And every time I was like, yes, I can take a hit. It's fine. And eventually I was able to, while he was, had one hand off of it and one hand on, I was able to get it out of his grasp and throw it. And at that point, it was a reversal from there. I pretty much, pushed him down, stood up, took his back, and I choked him in and out of consciousness until the police came. There was actually one point where his girlfriend was trying to get him off of me, and you could see it where at this one point where she stood up and looked back towards the gun that I had thrown in the street, and I recognized that because she sort of made a slight turn motion to go get it. And at that point, I had him, rear naked choke, and with my hooks in, and I said, and I grabbed her by her purse strap and yanked her down, and she just came tumbling down, and I just, by her hair, wrapped her around and just held them both there, pretty much until the police came.
How long was it until the cops showed up?
God, it felt like an eternity.
Right? 3 hours.
Yeah, it felt like hours, but I'm sure it was maybe 3 or 4 minutes, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I'm just glad the dog didn't jump in too, because that might have been a little bit too much to take care of at once.
No kidding, man. So, and you said that he got charged.
He did, yeah. They wound up charging him with wanton endangerment for that. Obviously, he pulled a gun on me for just because, I wasn't approaching him.
He's lucky he didn't get charged with aggravated assault, man. That'd have been, a 10-year felony they could have hit him with.
Yeah, I think wanton endangerment might be even more here in this state.
Oh, really? I'm not familiar with all Kentucky statutes, so.
Yeah, I believe it's actually more. I think it's like 25 years here, or 20 or something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, he wound up being charged with that, and I'm not entirely sure what happened thereafter. So,
man. So what are your lessons? What do you take out of this, and what do you say? Hey, man, this is what what I would do. Felt like I did well. Here's what I feel like maybe I could do better.
All right. So, I mean, I definitely recognize the ego battle in it. It was definitely that. I mean, if anything, a man's ego is fragile, and I gotta say, you cuss me out, I'm gonna be upset. So, I mean, lesson for me, I think that check the ego, even when it's telling you to just go do it. Sometimes you just have to check it.
I mean, because of course, if you knew going in, like if you're like, oh, he cussed at my wife, and then but he's got a gun in there and he's gonna pull it on me if I go and talk to him about it, you just go back in the house and call the cops and all day long, right?
I still don't know if I would, honestly. I'm just that guy. I have an understanding with myself where I'm like, the only thing guaranteed in life is death. So if it comes for me, it comes for me. But I mean, for the average person, for everybody, I mean, I'm an average person, but for most people, I think that's absolutely what they should do, or what I should have done. Probably absolutely what I should have done. I think it's definitely the ego battle aspect of it was just don't partake. Another one is always treat every firearm as if it's a real firearm. I looked down at that gun and my first instinct goes, a BB gun. You've got a BB gun pointed at me. What are you going to do with that? And it turned out that it was not. It was a pretty serious weapon that he had, and
now it didn't go off at any time, right? Like
no,
it didn't fire?
No, it didn't. No.
Good.
And we're lucky because there was a lot of people around, and that would have been very interesting. And I think if I were to learn any lessons by that, it would probably be those two. And also, like you said, carry your tools. Always be prepared. Better safe than sorry. I think that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I would add a couple, man. I think number one, because you had a high level of grappling skills when it started, I mean, you disarmed the guy. It was a heck of a disarm. Disarming somebody with a long gun when they have two hands on it's very hard. I mean, very hard. Just like disarming somebody if they have two hands on a handgun, super hard, right? But if you got a high level of empty-handed skills, you work through the process, that we talk about all the time, then it works, and you did fine there. I think that also for me as a jiu-jitsu guy and as a martial artist, dude, when you add weapons to the mix, it changes your priorities. Because, okay, if I take this guy down and I'm in bottom position, what am I doing? I'm controlling his posture. I'm controlling position. I'm trying to get his back. I'm trying to do these things until he's got a gun. Now I got to control the gun. And all that other stuff is secondary. And I'll take punches to the face to not let him have control of the gun. It's a different priority set. And I think that you were 100% right in doing that. I don't think I think the more we train it, the better that is. But instinctively you go, punches less problem than gun. Okay, good. So now I'm going to deal with that. So I think you did a great job of that. I think recognizing, having the presence of mind, because you have a high skill set, that when she pops up and starts looking at that gun to go, nope, I got to get hurt too. I don't know too many people who can control two people at once on the ground. So that right there, props to you for that, man. And then, of course, no one's coming to save you, right? The police are 3 or 4 minutes away. And all of a sudden, this went from, hey, man, you're going to have to move that car to, oh, crap, I'm fighting for my life now because this guy might murder me with this gun. And it's up to us. No one's coming to save us, right? It's up to us.
Right.
So,
well,
and I doubled down.
Into it. Right.
And I doubled down. I think, I get it, man. We all have egos. But I think killing that ego and just going, I think the cops are going to end up showing up anyway. So I may as well just call them and let them show up to begin the fight and outsource that violence if I can, right? No sense of getting in an unnecessary fight. But I mean, at the end of the day, you live to fight another day. Everybody's all right. You don't have to, you're not in the hospital or anything like that. Yeah. So did either of them live in the complex?
No, we've actually never seen them before. Through like further investigation, actually, they live like way far away, and we have no idea why they're over here, like right in front of our driveway. There's nothing around here, so.
Random stuff, right? I also think, and I get it. So your wife, if you're like, hey man, my lady works late, and so we're out late. Man, I'm gonna say it, dude. The rules of stupid are a thing, man. When you're out past midnight, bad stuff goes down. Like cockroaches come out when the sun goes down. So you're like, I mean, we're good people, and you're like, hey, it's my right to be anywhere I want, anytime I want. And that's true, but the people that are out hanging out outside the apartment at 1:30 in the morning, probably there's a higher probability that these are not the kind of people we want to have a social relationship with. So,
right.
And overall, man, I think it was interesting. I think it's impressive that it was caught on camera. I mean, obviously it's up in the corner there, but I'm blowing it up and all that stuff. And I also think that the Ring doorbell, when she's screaming at you and those things, and you're going, all right, well, we're just gonna hang out here,
I wish my porch light was working, because it's so much better when our porch light's working, but it's out at the moment. But luckily for my police officer neighbor right across the street, his surveillance system caught that one from the corner. So it turned out to be like a 2-part kind of video there, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's kind of neat, man. Well, hey, dude, I'm super grateful you sent it to me. I think it's going to be a good lesson. I think that you're right. We're going to talk about ego. We're going to talk about high level of empty-handed skills. And when you have those skills, you can be confident, right? But it's not about confidence. It's about competence. And when you have that, hey, and I love what you said about, if you see something looks like a firearm, treat it like it is, because, you go, oh, what are you going to do with that BB gun? Oh, shoot me with a 9mm. Awesome. And that's a bad day. So yeah, man, I think it's going to be a great lesson, and I appreciate you coming on the channel.
Hey, thanks for having me on, John.